Hi folks, in my second video lesson on playing backup banjo in the thumb lead two-finger style, we learned how to add alternating thumb to the basic boom chick pattern, and then we applied that to backing up my singing to Will the Circle Be Unbroken. In today's lesson, we're going to look at another way to enhance the basic boom chick, and that is to play skeletal melody notes. We don't need any more introduction than that, so let's just jump right in. What we want to do now is play a melody note every time it falls on the boom of a boom chick. Let's say we have a single measure of 4/4 time with a 1, 2, 3, 4 count. We would play two boom chicks in that measure, thumb, pinch, and hence we have the opportunity to play melody notes twice. Once on the first beat and then again on the third beat where we have the two booms. And by doing this, we're really not playing the full melody. Again, the singer or the lead instrument is playing the full melody. We're just sketching out the barest essence of the melody here, hence the term skeletal melody. And we're not really competing with the singer or the lead instrument. We're still supporting them and enhancing what they're doing. So there's no competition here in doing this. Now, playing skeletal melody notes can be trickier than just playing an alternating thumb on the fly, for the simple reason is that we have to find those melody notes. Whereas the alternating thumb is very mechanical. You just alternate between the third and the fourth string on and over and over. Here we have to figure out what the melody note is. Now the good news is, once again, if you're on the right chord, there is no wrong note. If you know the chords to a song and you're solid with that and you're trying to play backup on the fly with someone, there's no harm in trying to figure out the melody note, because if you miss it, you're just going to end up playing a harmony note. So it's still good. But if you really want to get this figured out, what you need to do is take your banjo, take the song, and woodshed with it, and just work through the skeletal melody and then incorporate that into your backup playing. So this requires a little more practice. But over time, you get better with this playing on the fly. You develop your audio memory as well as your muscle memory, and you start figuring out pretty quickly where those melody notes are. So, a second or third time through, you probably can get most of the melody notes nailed down once you get good at this and can do it on the fly. Well, let's work through a quick example here, and let's just take the first few words of the chorus of Will the Circle Be Unbroken, and we're just going to work with the words, Will the Circle. And if we back that up with the basic boom chick, it's going to involve 3 boom chicks. Let me demonstrate that for you. And I'm just going to play the third string followed by a pinch for the boom chick. So here we go. 1, 2. Will the circle. All it is, 3 boom chicks. First question is, where do the booms occur in terms of the lyrics? The first boom was on will. The second boom occurred on Cir of circle. And then the third boom occurred on Cul of circle. So that's where we need to put the 3 melody notes. And of course, we played pinches or chicks in between those 3 booms. So what are the 3 melody notes that we want to play here? Well, rather than work through that right now, let me just give them to you. On will, the melody note is a D, and that's going to be the open 4th string. And then for circle, the second and the third booms, those are going to be G notes, the open 3rd string. So what we have here is, for the booms, D, G, and G, or open 4th, open 3rd, open 3rd. So all we're doing is modifying what I did initially by playing the 4th string on the first boom, and then we just go back to the 3rd string for the G note on the second and third boom. So not a big change here, but let's go ahead and do that anyway. Okay, 1, 2. Will the circle. One more time. 1, 2. Will the circle. There it is. This is what we do to work this out, and we just take it phrase by phrase, word by word, and figure out what the melody note is, and put it together for the whole song. Let's do this for the entirety of the chorus of Will the Circle Be Unbroken. And I've worked this out in advance. I'm not going to go through this note by note. I'm just going to demonstrate it for you. And the first thing I'm going to do is just play the banjo backup without singing. And I want to do this so you can hear what the skeletal melody is like and convince yourself that it's not the full melody, it's just the barest essence of the melody. So here we go. Just the banjo. 1, 2. Okay, so hopefully you heard that skeletal melody in there, just enough to make out the song, but really not the full melody at all. Not enough to compete with the singer or the lead instrument. And by the way, if you're the singer, this is a great way of backing yourself up, especially if you have a hard time finding certain notes or hitting certain notes. By playing that note on the banjo, it sort of guides your voice to that note. So this is a really useful technique for when you're backing yourself up. Let's try that now with singing, and we'll see how it works out. And again, hopefully you'll be convinced that this doesn't compete with the vocalist or the lead instrument. Here we go. 1, 2. Will the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. So a few things about what happened there. First off, melody notes not only fell on the 3rd and 4th string, but they also fell on the 2nd string. The melody notes go where the melody notes go, and they're not just open strings all the time, they can be fretted notes. Secondly, there were a bunch of filler notes in there, especially between phrases. Oftentimes we have 1, 2, maybe even 4 beats, maybe a whole measure between phrases where we're just kind of holding over. So those aren't really melody notes, they're just filler notes. What do you do there? Well, do what you want to do. As long as you're on the right chord, play whatever note that sounds or feels right. If you want to just hold the last melody note through that whole filler space, go ahead and do that. If there's enough to play alternating thumb there, go ahead and do that. You have different options for what you want to do on those filler notes. And also, bear in mind that just because a melody note falls on the boom, you don't have to play it all the time. We're just kind of doing this as the exercise here of playing a melody note every time it falls on the boom. But you can be selective about that. Once you get good at this, you can play a melody note on the 1st beat, and then on the 3rd beat of the measure, maybe it's a melody note on the boom, but maybe you want to do something else. Maybe you want to go to an alternating thumb. You can arrange this any way you want. You don't have to be one all the way or the other all the way. Rather than walking you through everything I just did, what I want you to do is go and try and work this out on your own for the chorus of Will the Circle Be Unbroken. So I already gave you the words Will the Circle, we know what those are. Try and figure out the rest of it on your own. So do this as a little bit of a homework assignment and see what you can come up with. And what I'll do is next time I'll post a tab of what I did, and then we can compare notes quite literally and see what you came up with and versus what I came up with. So take this as a little homework assignment and work this up on your own. Well, there's one potential fly in the soup here, and that is sometimes melody notes are going to land on the 1st string. So what do we do about that? Well, there's 3 possibilities here. Number 1 is you can play that note on some other string. In most cases, it would be on the 2nd string. So for example, if the melody note was on the 2nd fret of the 1st string, that'd be an E note. You can play that same note with your thumb on the 2nd string at the 5th fret. That's one option. The other option is just to play some other note rather than the melody note. So if you're on the right chord, just play some other note with your thumb that's on the 2nd string, 3rd string, or 4th string. And then the third option is you play that note on the 1st string with your finger. This is perfectly normal and perfectly legit in thumb lead 2-finger style. Most thumb lead players use their finger to play melody notes and lead notes at some point. So you've got 3 options here. You just need to figure out which way you want to do it, what sounds best, what feels most natural, what seems to be the smoothest progression, so on and so forth. And it takes some time and practice and experience to figure that out. But those are your three options. That's it for today. Let's sum it up and then take a look at what's going to happen in the next lesson. This lesson was about playing melody notes when they fall on the booms of the boom chick. So rather than alternating thumb between strings 3 and 4, we actually try to play the melody line when we play thumb notes, or the booms. And we're just sketching the barest of essence of the melody, so we're not really competing with the singer or the lead instrument. We're still playing a supporting role when we play a skeletal melody on top of the boom chick. And bear in mind that melody notes might fall on any of the 4 strings, the first, second, or third, or fourth string, and you just have to follow the melody notes where they go. And they can be open strings or they can be fretted notes. And like I said, if it falls on the first string, you've got 3 options. You can play that melody note on some other string, most commonly the second string, by finding where that note falls on the second string or whatever string. And then you can play some other note if you're on the right chord, just play a harmony note rather than playing the melody note. And then thirdly, you can go ahead and play that melody note on the first string with your finger if you want to. So you've got 3 ways to address when melody notes fall on the first string. And lastly, not all booms are melody notes. Some booms are filler notes, especially between phrases. And when that happens, it's your choice what you want to do. Keep playing the last melody note on that filler note if you want to, or if there's enough notes there, you can go to an alternating thumb, or you can just play some harmony note that suits you. So again, you've got choices when you're playing filler notes. Well, looking forward into the next lesson, we're going to add in what I call the boom boom to the basic boom chick pattern and see how that enhances our backup as well. So until then, have fun and keep on picking.